we're going to start with the Vaush video that we were going to cover last time. Now, I've watched almost no content from Vaush. This one is about Argentina's President Milei. I know a little bit about Milei, having covered him a bit, and I know less about Vaush, except that I know some of the references, some of the jokes about Vaush. And I want to voice my concern. Knowing what little I do, my chief suspicion about Vaush, though not confirmed and certainly not an accusation or an allegation, merely a suspicion, is that he was caught by some intelligence agency doing something dodgy with some, shall we say, visual materials, and was then pressed into presenting a slightly different kind of content that he used to, and artificially promoted in so doing. I would not be surprised if he was by the balls of some
I've never been able to
agency.
see any kind of confirmation on the accuracy of that, by the way. But,
no, me neither.
I wouldn't be surprised if that is accurate, because Vaush is a lunatic and also probably a pedophile, to be honest.
So, yeah, that's all I know about Vaush. I know a little bit about Milei. Let's see what he says. I hear that this is nuts.
At 9 p.m. today, Javier Milei came in via national broadcast to announce the nullifying.
I believe it's Javier.
Of around
Javier. Yeah, Javier. That's how you pronounce his name correctly.
Yeah. So, actually, that's a good point.
Espanol?
It's Javier. I believe Vaush just said it wrong. He said, like, Javier. Which is...
Who cares?
Like, it's wrong in both ways, but yeah, never mind.
By necessity and urgency decree. Hey, by the way, Argentina, you guys are... You're completely... I'm very sorry. You're completely...
Oh, this video. I've seen this video.
They were already fucked, dude. Did you not see the rate of inflation they had?
That's what he doesn't understand.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's so funny about all these leftoids having their freak out about Javier Milei, is that they're like, oh my God, Argentina is so fucked. They were fucked before.
They were, yeah.
Why do you think their money is so devalued? And they go, I don't know. Because they were a socialist system that devalued their entire monetary economy. And
it was
now,
an unworkable economy. And so they were desperate. So they chose they could have chosen much worse.
What idiots like Vaush don't understand, they maybe do understand, but they pretend to not understand, is that the money's going to be devalued, in that it's going to go down in how much, like, a Venezuelan peso is worth, is going to go down because it is inflated. So then it's going to go down because you have to let the value go down to compete against the inflation.
Yeah.
But they're just saying, oh, it's going down. That means that their money's not worth anything anymore.
And you wonder why socialists can't make a monetary system. Like, maybe it's they just don't understand the fundamental concept of currency.
It's a fundamental faction. You've inflated the currency so that the currency isn't worth it. And Vaush is going to talk about this, I think.
More of the currency to buy the same thing. So if you make it require less of that currency to buy the same thing, then I mean, it doesn't actually matter where you set it, as long as it's not rapidly increasing. That's the problem. And if it's been rapidly increasing for too long, you might get to the point where, you know, it does matter a bit where you put it, because if it's 10 trillion to buy a loaf of bread, that's just silly. It's just unworkable. Even if the inflation has stopped at 10 trillion, you might as well revalue it at that point. You might as well just say, instead of 10 trillion, it's 10 for the bread instead. Just new currency.
Vaush's issue is that, what he's specifically going to bring up, is that the cost to get out of Venezuela, a bus to go, by the way, across continents, Venezuela, certainly Argentina, has gone up exponentially from like $50 to $500. Well, that's because that's the actual value of that bus ticket.
Yeah.
You don't get this. He doesn't understand this because he's a troglodyte. But that's the actual value of that bus ticket. So
the more money you print, the less the bus driver can afford to feed his family.
Yeah.
With the cost of the ticket. Just like, there's so many ways I could explain it, but let's put it in the case of a working class person can't feed his family even though he's working. That's what hyperinflation does, and even Vaush should comprehend the basics of hyperinflation.
But he doesn't actually care That's the thing. He doesn't care about the well-being of the bus driver, right? Doesn't give a shit about the
I will say before we go in,
bus driver.
Economics is not my expert area, but I say that perhaps with a bit too much humility, given Vaush here deems to comment on it.
Vaush doesn't understand literally anything and can't understand why the cost of things go up when you are trying to get the currency based on what it's actually worth rather than being hyperinflated, which it was beforehand, before Milei. So Milei is bringing the currency down into what it's actually worth rather than its overinflated value. So this will mean the amount of money will change, and he can't figure that out because that's too complicated for him because he has like a high school level understanding of economics.
Well, I've only seen 16 seconds so far, so I don't know what his understanding is.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's continue watching. No,
it's bad. I've seen this clip.
No, that's fine. It's fine.
Good luck with that.
How long is this? Oh, good.
It's his typical opening.
Market, including the enabling of landlords to charge rent in U.S. dollars. Oh, sorry, you make your salary in pesos. You have pesos. Well, if you wanna pay rent, you better, and keep in mind the value of the peso got cut in half the other day, so your rent effectively gets
what
doubled.
Peso? The peso got cut in half because of the reduction in inflation. He doesn't understand. He fundamentally doesn't understand basic economics. That's
if they didn't cut the value in half,
wrong.
Someone on the chain can't afford to feed their family. If they do cut the value in half, then everyone can today. But if they keep hyperinflating it, then it's the same problem tomorrow.
His first statement is fundamentally an economic retardation.
Yes. The switching over from pesos to dollars is, again, economics not my strong suit, but that could have trouble. Like that could have problems.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree that they should not have switched to the American dollar. I agree. Because the American dollar is not stable. But,
well, yeah, I mean, more stable than Argentina, but still, yeah.
But more stable than Argentina, yeah.
So I can understand that. Like, this is what happens. So this has happened in the Middle East. It's happened in lots of other places where a currency gets hyperinflated. Usually what they do is they just mint a new currency. And they, after a couple of years, they declare the old one is no longer legal tender. Once there's enough of the new one in circulation, and then they just don't hyperinflate that one. Now that's, obviously it's a bad situation, but that's a decent solution. That's what you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. Is that what Milei's doing here? He's just not making a new currency. He's just saying, use the American currency. Because, like, making a new currency that's not hyperinflated, good idea. Using someone else's currency is the same problem as we've argued against in the EU here in the UK, where, for example, Greece and fucking Bulgaria, I don't know if Bulgaria's in the EU, but the same concept applies, and Croatia and all these other Eastern European countries have somewhat different economic structures and sort of bounds and levers to France and Germany and the UK. And so having the same currency means that they have a lot less control, which can rescue their economy or encourage investment in their. Like if you devalue your currency, you would encourage investment. You become a more profitable venture for other people to invest in. So you can help your economy by doing that. Countries in the EU fucking can't. They have to depend on the bureaucratic EU overclasses to pull the levers for them. Well, they don't give a fuck. They don't care. Why would they bother? So using the US dollar seems like a bad idea. You should just mint a new currency for your country.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the problem is that central banking is a serious issue, and that if there's no central bank behind this stuff, there's a belief that there's no backing behind it. So therefore that the whatever finance it doesn't have that backing behind it, so therefore it's not worth it. However, that's why you need gold and silver, in my opinion.
When
you have gold and silver to back things up, when there's no gold and silver to back things up, which that's when you have the issue, which the United States should have and other countries should have as well, which Milei is working towards, and that's why many reasons I support Milei.
There's many good arguments for some sort of gold-backed currency, and there are some good ones against it, I find. But I won't go into that right now. Voodoo says he wants to use
It's very complicated, actually.
It is. Voodoo says he wants to use the US dollar as a middle step before introducing a new one. It's the logical currency to switch to as a middle step before switching due to already having a reserve on hand, and the tourism-based economy means businesses are already used to handling it. See, that's a fair case. I can see that. Still, making people go through in total 3 different currencies over the course of his term, maybe a bit much. I mean, like the switching between the currencies, as Vaush is talking about here, could lead to problems. People getting literally paid in pesos, sure, they probably can exchange it, but that's going to cause some friction in the economy. And I don't know if they can exchange it actually. Of course, like the savings of everyone in that country have been fucked for years, and Vaush might blame that on Millet as a product of. Now he's making these changes, but what if people want to put their savings? Oh, their savings are already fucked, Vaush. That's what hyperinflation does. They don't have savings. They're living day to day at best.
Vaush is going to put it on Millet because he hates Millet, because Millet is an actual libertarian, despite the fact that Vaush describes himself as a libertarian. If you don't know, Vaush describes himself as a libertarian, and he doesn't like Millet because Millet is a capitalist libertarian. And in fact, now, you want to know the really cute thing that I found out recently about Vaush is that Vaush describes himself as a libertarian and actually describes all libertarianism as communistic because he read a Wikipedia article. Go to Wikipedia and type in libertarian, and you will find that it will say the people who defined libertarianism were communists. That's why Vaush thinks that libertarianism is actually a communist system. Yep. Scroll down just a little bit. Right down from the initial article. Scroll down to the history. You see that the etymology section. Read this. Vaush did not read further than this. He didn't read into the history. He just read this etymology section, and this is how he decided that libertarianism is a communistic system. Is over this etymological, and he believes it 100%. He's so, and if you don't know this about Vaush is a habitual Wikipedia reader.
People have told me that, yeah.
Will repeat whatever he reads on Wikipedia as being unquestionable truth. This is, if you want to understand where Vaush's understanding of things comes from, it's entirely Wikipedia. There it is.
Even assuming no bad biases on his part, if you were just reading Wikipedia, yes, that would lead you towards some stupid ideologies.
Yep.
Because Wikipedia is very biased, unfortunately.
Yep, sure is. But that if you want to understand Vaush's ideology as to why he thinks also that libertarianism is inherently a communistic ideology, which he does believe, it's from the Wikipedia article. That's it.
Coined by a communist is the closest I could see on the article.
I am a libertarian. No. Libertarianism is not a communistic ideology. That's a very cute thing that Vaush wants to wish to be true because he read a Wikipedia article. But communism and libertarianism are antithetical to one another.
Certainly in the modern understanding of those terms, yeah. The problem is that communism...
I think most basic understanding of those terms.
Yeah. Communism as originally defined by Marx is, in a sense, like libertarian in the broad sense, not the economic sense. In that there is no government structure. No, because it requires
big government.
No, that's like... What I'm saying is, in practice it does, but in Marx's original conception...
in the Communist Manifesto.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It is technically governmentless. So it is in that sense libertarian. Well, in that case, you can say that communism is, in a very broad sense, libertarian, in the sense that you have like the bottom half of the political compass, social libertarian. But libertarianism is not communist, at least not in the modern understanding. Yeah. Libertarianism has, even if it didn't mean this originally, it certainly does now, means economic libertarians on the right of economic and socially libertarian.
Yep.
That's what it means in practice today. Even if he doesn't, even if it didn't mean that
he has to constantly redefine things in order to make it make sense from his insane.
That is the kind of gotcha
insane point of view
I would expect from a socialist. Where it's like, but the word you're using to describe yourself didn't originally mean what you use it to mean today. Of course, they present it in a way that makes it sound like that's a slam dunk. But no, it is just confounding. As with most things, almost every argument that you deal with is actually a word game at the end of the day. Is actually an axiomatic conflict that people aren't aware of. And the only times that isn't happening is, for example, Aiden, you and I had that conversation on monarchy and democracy, where I think we just did quite a lot of truth work. We just brought in the truth or our reasonable opinions and smashed them against each other with no unnecessary conflict or weird tensions because of broken axioms. It can happen.
No, again, well, we disagree on things, but that's okay.
Yeah,
it's fine for us to disagree. That's the difference between, I think, someone like Vaush and our kind of, I would say most of the conversations on the right, more broadly speaking, is that we can have a axiomatic disagreement and talk about it in a like reasonable way without having a fucking melty. But Vaush could never do that.
That's what the data be.
He would have a melty. Yeah, he'd have a melty.
It kind of makes sense that Vaush essentially speaks in riddles and word games, given that he looks like the kind of troll who would try to steal your soul while guarding a bridge.
Yeah, well.
If you don't answer his question correctly.
Vaush it looks more like a troll in more ways than one, and also Vaush is a fucking weirdo sex pest. So
I have most of what I know about Vaush comes from memes like some weird random tweet about horses and then just the top of Vaush's profile picture as a reply beneath it. Just every time. Yeah. Weird sex pest is a good way of putting it because that's the least he is.
Vaush got absolutely bodied by that one Stone Toss comic that was just like, if you talk about the fucking, what was it? If you talk about Jews so much, you're probably an anti-Semite. Anyway, back to the age of consent or whatever the fuck that comic was.
Yeah. Yup. Good old Stone Toss.
You better go down to like an airport or something and exchange your pesos for USD to pay double in rent, assuming they don't raise it. The derogation of protection for land sale, the sale of the...
The thing is, Vaush, we've made this point already, but the US dollar is not drastically dropping in value. It is dropping in value, but it's not drastically, not as fast as the Argentinian peso. The peso is dropping in value at ridiculous levels. So what you're describing here, Vaush, it's not a consequence of Malay's policies. It's not even a consequence of capitalism, except to the extent that we have value that we count. It's a consequence of value. It's a consequence of bad policy around counting value. Now, this I want to make this point very clear. Socialism and communism at their most basic level is the assertion and almost faith belief that if we don't count value, everything will be fine. That's ultimately what it is. Everything else is derived from that. Which, if you word it like that, sounds fucking stupid, because it is. That is exactly how stupid it is. Yeah. And so what Vaush here is essentially saying is that that this is an inevitable part of counting value. Therefore, we shouldn't count value. No, Vaush, this is what happens when retards are put in charge of counting value. Retards, by the way, who hold the same ideology as you or similar.
Yep.
Millet is doing the very difficult thing here of fixing it. And like a lot of this stuff it's been getting so much worse for so many years that the person that finally says that's enough and stops it, they are going to induce some hardship. But it's got this thing which is called it does this thing which is called saving the nation. Because if you don't do this, it's just a matter of time before it completely collapses into anarchy, which maybe you would like, Vaush, but the people in the country wouldn't.
He would like that. Actually, to be fair, I don't think Vaush actually cares about any of it. All of this to him is just a little meme. He doesn't. I mean, all political stuff all over the world to him is funny, because as long as it makes him money, he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care how many people suffer. He doesn't care how many people die. All of it to him is just a little funny meme. That's it. That's his entire... Why would he care? Why would he care? The only thing he cares about is his own fucking wallet and pocket. And I know that seems probably reductive, but I don't think that's accurate when it refers to Vaush, because I honestly don't think that. Like, okay, I will say that I think Destiny does care a little bit. He's interested. Vaush doesn't care a shit about anything outside of his own wallet. That's my opinion. I just don't think he gives a fuck at all.
I don't know yet, but you may be right. I usually am reluctant to make I don't know, you sort of accounted for this, Aiden. I'm not criticizing you, but I'm usually reluctant to make the you just in it for the money argument, because, you know, you got to be also in it for the money, even if you are telling the truth. But as to, does he believe what he's saying? Is he a good faith actor? I'm ready to believe he's not.
I've never seen Vaush make a good faith argument. Never. I've never seen him make a single good faith argument. So that's why I would be reluctant to believe that he is making a good faith argument, because I've never seen Vaush make a single one. And in fact, I find Vaush to be probably the most like repugnant person on the left in terms of their political speakers, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because I've never seen him make a good faith argument.
He edges it out over Hassan.
Yeah. Hassan is like an 80 IQ. However, Vaush is like a over 100 IQ. I don't know where his is at, but it's
but he's just misusing
over
it.
100. But he's misusing it, and he's using it to be, in my opinion, intentionally aggressive and disrespectful, and to lie to people. And that's why I find Vaush to be far more disgusting than, because Hassan's just an idiot. Hassan's just like, again, I think Hassan honestly doesn't even really understand what he's saying. He just says stuff.
Yeah.
That's far less offensive than Vaush, who I think has about 100 IQ. I don't think it's much above that, but that is more dangerous in terms of like 100 versus 80 IQ. This is a dangerous level. The 100 IQ, and I do think that Vaush is a very midwit level person, but that's dangerous in terms of his audience of entirely very young people, just as Hassan has. Young people. He also doesn't understand anything about politics, but he's very convinced that he does, and he speaks with authority. That's the part that's dangerous. Not saying you shouldn't be allowed to do it, just saying that that's the part that's dangerous.
Stock package of all national oil, airlines, and other services to private funds. Bus tickets going from $50 to $500. How? What? How?
Because that's the actual, so that bus drivers can feed themselves, Vaush.
That's what he couldn't understand.
Yeah.
This is what I brought up to you earlier, is that he couldn't understand that because they changed, because the money was devalued.
The number, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, Vaush,
the number
how
ultimately
stupid
is an arbitrary count of value. You could assign the same value, any number, but the point is that the value between different things has to be consistent. If one thing is worth twice as much as something else, you have to give it a number that is twice as high as the other thing. It doesn't matter if those numbers are 10,000 and 5,000 or 10 and 5. Of course, you may want to find a convenient point there, but ultimately it doesn't matter. It's arbitrary. But if people are being paid what the work is worth, and then the bus ticket costs 10 times less than it should, that's going to cause problems. The fact that the bus system is then nationalized means that that's not the bus drivers failing to eat. That's just going to increase taxes, because you have to pay for it still, and the tickets aren't making up the value. So they're just going to tax them more. So people that don't ride the bus have to pay for other people to ride the bus because they're getting a bus ticket for a tenth of its value.
That's what I said at the beginning. He doesn't understand that he's actually making the money worth what it's worth. The money's overinflated.
Yeah.
And so the funny thing that he says here, he's like, can you imagine a bus ticket costing $500?
I assume that's Argentinian dollars or whatever, Argentinian pesos.
It actually doesn't matter though on that one, like, because it's just proof that Vaush has never taken a bus in his entire life. Because it's like you're taking because what he's talking about is taking a bus from Argentina to the United States.
Right, I heard about this.
Yeah?
That's the transcontinental bus. Yes, that will cost you $500. That is
Yes, of course it will.
very expensive.
Of course it will. I mean, like, try taking a bus across the United States. See how much that costs you, Vaush.
Yeah.
But you would know that because you don't care. You don't pay any attention to this stuff because this money doesn't mean anything to you because you're a rich socialist. You're a rich socialist, comes from a rich family, comes from a rich background, who's never had to worry about money 1 second in your entire fucking life. So you're like, oh yeah, bus, whatever.
This is like the inverse of that fucking, it's one banana. What could it be? $10? It's that skit, but the other way round. We found it. We found the compliment.
Yeah.
So the bus that probably should cost about $500 cost 50 before, just because the government said so.
Yeah.
Do you not see, Vaush, that you can't just arbitrarily say it's worth less than it is? That is going to cause problems. No, of course he doesn't. He wouldn't see that. And honestly, I have seen 1 minute and 7 seconds of this video, and I'm pretty sure Vaush is just economically illiterate. Or, as you say, Aiden, possibly just lying.
Of course he is.
But I'm not sure I give him that much credit, to be honest.
Both.
$50 for a bus ticket from Argentina to America, that is ridiculously low.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was just all that was gonna do. You have to get that money from somewhere. Where are they getting it from? I don't know, but the only thing that comes to mind is taxes. So it's just more tax.
You pay for it. You pay for Argentinians to come to the United States. Oh, you'd never do that, would you?
How does a bus ticket ever cost that much in any world? This is pesos? Oh, this is in pesos, not dollars? Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, Vaush, weird.
The dollar sign? The dollar sign is also the peso sign?
Oh my God. This is what I find this is what's so insane about this man. He speaks with authority while knowing nothing. And yet speaks with authority. So let's Argentine pesos to American. Let's do that. Let's do this. Okay, Argentine pesos. It's 500 Argentine pesos. What?
This is like I never realized there would be
no way. Do you know how much 500 Argentine pesos are in US dollars?
Oh, it's gonna be like 70 quid or something, isn't it?
60 cents.
60 cents?
You're shitting me.
No, type it in.
Oh dear. Okay, so I don't know, I might have been mistaken before about it being the transcontinental thing. If this is actually the pesos value, that's probably like a one block over bus in the middle of a city.
Something weird there going on, but go to Google and type in Argentine pesos to US dollars. 500 Argentine pesos is worth 60 cents.
Yes.
So what the fuck are you talking about, Vaush? Yeah.
So
what are you talking about, Vaush?
Yeah, meat bun. That we've got the same data there. I think 6 cents, since 6 US cents is what that bus trip cost before.
60 cents, yeah.
No, what I mean, like the 50 figure that they've given here. If that is a pesos value, that's 6 cents.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That is pretty cheap for a bus ticket, Chad. Do you reckon that you could run a bus company on 6 cents? 6 cents per passenger? I don't think you could. I don't think you could.
Apparently, if you're Vaush, but he would never do that.
I mean, like,
he lives in a mansion in LA.
I get the argument of that will just increase taxes, and Vaush is like, great. Okay, Vaush, kind of lost the plot at that point. That is, I mean, how do you even argue against a socialist who says that taxes are just great, just more tax all the time? People just have less freedom that they can. They would say, yes, that's great. The whole point of socialism, you have no economic freedom whatsoever. You just get what the state gave you. I don't know if that's his opinion, Vaush's opinion personally, but that is generally the opinion of socialists. Zero economic freedom, just get what the state gives you, get what the state assigns to you.
With Vaush not understanding how much
Go on.
Go on. Okay. With Vaush not understanding how much transport costs, finally, we have an American equivalent to the fucking London-based fucking lefty journalists who are like, oh, public transport, isn't it amazing? And talk about like how cheap they go everywhere. Who are like, why would you ever need to drive? And it's because they live in London, where there's a tube stop every 100 meters. And it's just like, oh yeah, if I want to get the train from where I live to like somewhere else in the country, I have to experience London in the middle of it, because that's where everything runs through. And it's also like 400 quid. We've had fun on the train system recently.
That's again, people like him think that they're like, they're city mind brained. They don't understand that like there's people who exist outside of your city who don't have access to your shit. They don't get it. And in fact, I think Vaush would actually be very happy if the rest of the United States didn't have access to any resources, because even though they come from those parts of the US, but he would like them to all die, because people he likes are coastal elitists like himself.
Yes.
Darty, but in terms of population density, London's pretty close to the center of the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Not geographically.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Not geographically, no. But still.
So I'm actually curious on this. How do you argue against a system that just induces more taxes to a socialist? I don't think you do. I think that's what they want.
Yeah, obviously.
But
he
I mean, at
wants
that
more
point,
taxes.
you're going to say it's just, okay, but the socialist economic system, if you can even call it that, fundamentally does not work. It is incompatible with humanity and with the universe. And then they disagree.
But it gives him more money, so he likes that.
I don't think it does. I think the reason that you get so many champagne socialists is that wealthy people, many of them, want a flock, and adopting an ideology that appeals to the working class is their idea of how to like get popular with a bunch of people. Of course, they don't appeal to the working class. They appeal to other middle class people. And maybe that's the objective. They don't probably realize that.
People, actually. Upper class people, actually.
Upper class and sometimes middle class. But yes, I suppose mostly mostly upper and upper middle.
Upper middle.
Maybe it is. Maybe it's not even about the work. I mean, it's kind of obvious to say, but yeah, maybe socialism just isn't about the working class and hasn't been for decades. Maybe it is just a way to exert power over people in your own class and people just below your class.
Anyway. I think with Vaush, him particularly, I think that his ideology is explicitly about exerting power over people in his own life. I think that is his whole thing, that he just wants to exert power.
I have a quick question, Vaush.
I think he's got a bunch of issues in his own life. I don't know. I am now projecting, by the way. Not projecting. I'm being solipsistic. I'm being solipsistic in that I'm guessing what's up with Vaush. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Here's a question, Vaush, and this is one that I have asked in different forms to different socialists, or would, if I'd had the pleasure of talking to any recently. These bus drivers, why don't they just become industrialists? Why don't they just become industrial magnates? Why don't they just become owners of massive companies? Like, if the two should get paid the same, then get the same things, and obviously it's just as difficult. So just do it. Like, why would the employee not just become an employer? Just do it. It's this, surely it's just as easy, right? No, it's not just as easy.
Argument.
That's the point. You need to induce people to do difficult things with a reward. You do this with children. You do this with animals to train them, and you do this with a society. It is called value. And it's a fundamental thing our species cares about because it does exist, or at least it can be derived very directly from the universe. Some things, especially in some configurations, are more useful than others to the goals of life propagating itself. And so we tend to organize things around us by their value, and counting that value is just a simple tool to organize it. So becoming an employer is more difficult. You have to do more difficult things. It's more risk as well. And so there's more reward. It's so, like, the socialist mindset, it's not just an alternative form of economy. It is a failure to have value at all. It's a failure to recognize value. It's a failure to organize the world. It is a failure to do economy at all. It's the avid refusal to do anything resembling economy or to regard value. It's not an alternative to capitalism. Capitalism, I avoid even referring to it as a discrete thing. It's just commerce, trade.
Capitalism capitalism isn't an ideology in the way that communism is, right? Capitalism is a system of finance. That's the difference.
I disagree. Capitalism
really?
is not a system. Capitalism is a pattern of behavior that happens in a universe with people and value.
Yep, I would agree. Communism, however, is a system. It is a organization. That's not the case with capitalism. Capitalism is a thing that just exists, I would say.
Communism
it's a thing that exists.
Is a thinly veiled excuse for tyranny. And that's not just in practice, that is in principle as well. It establishes a state as the overall arbiters. No system that has ever existed, as far as I know, has created more disparity between the richest and the poorest in a society than communism has.
Nope. And they're doing it right now. They are trying to remove Trump from every single ballot in the United States that they can.
We have that story for later.
While claiming that is, in fact, democracy. It's incredibly fascinating. Love it.
Confusing because we were just talking about USD, but okay. Signs supposed to relay messages. If you are identified at a protest, you will lose your social welfare plan. Elon Musk's Starlink mentioned by name. Likely takeover contract for Argentina's national satellite system. Man.
So identified at a protest, lose your whatever. I don't like that. Milei is cracking down on socialism.
It's completely incorrect.
It's a desperate situation.
Just lying.
Is it not true? I mean, I don't know.
It's not true.
Want to trust Vaush's source.
Here's the thing. Vaush would like every single person who participated in, for example, the Jan 6 protest to be killed, probably. I'm going to be honest. That's probably what he would legitimately like. But what he would say publicly is that he would like them to lose their social security numbers. He would like them to lose their bank accounts. But if you supported Milei, then he also probably thinks these people should be debanked.
So
but this is the thing, is that Vaush is a totalitarian. He is a insane totalitarian, but he is upset because he thinks. Now, why does he think that Milei will engage in totalitarian actions against communists? It's because that's what he would do if he was in Milei's position. That's why he's well, not maybe. I think at this point we can say that kind of.
In practice, for sure. I don't know if he would realize that, but in practice, sure. And I can see what you're saying. Almost everyone is just one thrown away from tyranny.
For him, yes. Not for me, but I mean, but I'm a libertarian, and so not for me, not for Ron Paul. Those of us who are actual libertarians would not do that. Hopefully, but people who are totalitarians, regardless of whatever side they align with, will engage in totalitarian actions when they get power. Which, if Vaush was given power over a country, he would immediately start killing people. We all know this is true. By the way. We have to know this is true. If you gave Vaush power over a country, you think he wouldn't start camps immediately? I
don't know enough about him.
He would murder every single person he thought he could.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't think it's a maybe. I think it's 100% truthful.
This is pretty much the first video of him I've ever seen, so I don't know exactly. But I'll take your.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus! This is your first Vaush video?
I think I've seen like a clip, like a 10-second clip of him or something.
Oh, you sweet summer child.
Uzalu, Vaush would cut your throat in this. And he's a big fat fuck, so he wouldn't actually do it himself. He would get some other guy to cut your throat in the street and laugh about it. Like he is a complete sociopath. He is an actual, in my opinion, an actual sociopath. He would love to kill people. It would be the thing that would make him bring in the most joy in his entire life.
To believing
is to murder someone.
I'll watch a bit more.
Yeah, just saying.
My main exposure to Vaush was when he came out with the absolutely scalding take that was that if there's a mob chasing you down, you should just submit yourself to them and just let them kill you. Yeah.
Yeah, he said that
Because
if a
majority
mob,
rule or whatever.
he said that if a mob of people was chasing you down, you should just lay down and allow yourself to be killed.
That's because the mobs are on his side these days, but
exactly. Yeah, but
yeah, they won't always
exactly,
be.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right, let's continue. By the way, we are 1.5 minutes into a 12.5-minute video.
He's actually doing.
Hey, we're making good progress.
That's one way of putting it.
He's full on doing the ultimate ANCAP shit. Complete deregulation of the labor market, labor protections.
It's not quite ANCAP. It's more minarchist. I get what you're saying. He's exaggerating. To be fair to him. Yeah, anyway, I'll continue.
Complete oversight and employee indemnity after firing with or without a cause. Millet is pretty much fired against every sector. He aims to derogate a law that gives primacy to generic medicine supplies so Big Pharma can establish pricing as well as establish contracts. Nice. Wow. Argentina is legitimately going to go to a third world country in the space.
No, I don't think so, Vaush. Now, if what you're saying is private industry...
What is it currently?
Exactly.
No, hang on.
If what you're saying, Vaush, is... Oh, go on, Ed.
Pause. He was reading a comment from one of his stupid fucking idiot fucking commenters who said the opposite, who said literally the opposite of what's about to happen in Argentina. Okay? So the literal opposite, that it was going to go to Big Pharma. No, that was the opposite what Millet was saying. So that they're so stupid that they are saying the opposite of what was happening. And he just believes it because he doesn't pay fucking attention enough to understand what the fuck's happening. It's not that you're not going to have to pay to be subjugate to some massive big pharma corporation. That's the opposite of what he was saying. It's the opposite of what was happening. But they don't care because they don't give a shit about reality. They're just making it. It's unbelievable to me, dude. It's unbelievable. They just make shit up. They just make shit up.
That's not what the data be. I haven't actually seen what Millet has done regarding Big Pharma. What he's doing...
No, it's the opposite of that. It's literally the opposite of that.
But okay, with medicine in general, if what he's doing, which is what it sounds like they're saying, is he's going from a national medical system of some kind to a private medical system of some kind, if that's what he's doing, and they are then supposing that will lead to Argentina being in the iron grip of Big Pharma, all I would say is that is a risk, but you've got to consider, even if you are going from one system to a system that has problems, consider that the original system might have been worse. You have not lived under Argentina's medical system, Vaush. I don't know anything about it either, but I suspect that it was terrible. I suspect that they would rather have the American system, even with its numerous and systematic and systemic flaws, than the probably barely functional, leeches and rusty what's the word? Knives system that they had before. Which I assume is what they had because most national healthcare systems end up that way, especially in shitholes. Which Argentina doesn't have to be a shithole, but it has been. But even in my own fair nation, the national healthcare system is not exactly that healthy.
Oh, I don't want to talk about how much I hate the NHS, but because I can talk some mad shit. I think the NHS is complete garbage. I think it's worse than the American healthcare system, by the way.
It may well be. In the interest of your time, let's continue with the Vaush thing.
Yeah.
Couple of weeks. That's actually incredible. This will get violent. Oh, lots of people are about to die. To be perfectly clear, this is going to lead to mass protests, which is going to lead to a military crackdown. Yeah, 100%.
Tension? Yes. Mass protests? Somewhat. But I think it'll mostly be people that actually liked the communistic system before, which is, at this point, probably the minority. And that is for a good bloody reason. As soon as Millet starts showing results, because in the first few months, it's going to be turmoil. It's tumultuous. No one knows what's happening. But because they don't know, there won't be that, it won't be any more than about 30 or 40% of people that want to protest. And of course, even less than that will do it. There could be a lot of violence and death. But after a few months, as long as Millet doesn't do anything really stupid and just sticks to his original plan, which is fine, they'll start to see results. And then even a lot of the socialists will calm down because they'll be able to buy fucking bread.
Yeah. Crazy.
And like,
right.
it's not even that, because you can buy bread the day you're paid, but you can't have savings in hyperinflation.
Mm-hmm.
The very notion of savings is just impossible under hyperinflation.
Mm-hmm. But the value of the dollar is going down. Therefore, it's bad.
The numbers, Wizard, what do they mean? Yeah. The numbers are changing.
Yeah. If you're basically the thing is that, like, if you're too stupid to understand economics, then Vaush makes sense to you.
Yeah.
If you have more than a elementary school, a primary school child's understanding of economics, then you can understand why this doesn't make sense. But you're not supposed to, because all of Vaush's audience are 7-year-olds intellectually.
His audience is just entirely made up of people who thought, well, this guy sounds confident, and if I listen to him, I never have to learn what a money is. So I'll just get stuck here. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great, I guess.
When he was saying earlier, like, oh, imagine the bus thing being 500 quid. I'm like, imagine explaining that a pint would be £8 to someone in just like 2000.
Oh, God.
It's like, yeah, that's what inflation does. Yeah.
Mm.
He can't figure it out.
That breaks my heart to hear, by the way.
Isn't it like worse in Ireland? Aren't your Guinnesses like stupid expensive or something?
Dude, I saw, what was it? Some receipt that had like 1 pint at like $9.50, and I was like, what the fuck has happened to my country?
That's like London prices. My one, we've still got some stuff as low as like $4.50, but there's one that's like $6-7 in it, and I just feel dirty just selling them at that price. Like,
I'm gonna win you all over to my side of this. Somehow, don't know how they've done it. Monster Energy has remained the same price pre-COVID to now, £1.65 for 500 milliliters.
Because it's poison.
Okay, even if it was poison dye, that would not make it more economically resistant to inflation, I don't think.
I'm going to have to drink one.
The problem is that coups are usually done by generals or like business interests, and I'm pretty sure both of those groups like Millet. It's not their first rodeo. There will be an uprising. Isn't it like the 20-year anniversary?
It's a
of
weird thing to say. Coups are only done by military generals and business interests. I don't know if an example of a business interest doing a coup, but they both like Millet. Well, that's probably because the military are one of the groups which has a history for rescuing a country from its own stupidity, and it's one of the possible answers for what could have happened to Argentina if they had not been lucky enough to democratically elect someone that could solve the problem. The reason the military like Millet, probably Vaush, is because he actually has a chance of helping, if anything else.
What a fucking moron!
I don't know of an example, chat, of where a business interest has done a coup. I suppose that there are like big American businesses have essentially taken over countries, soft coups. Maybe that's what he means. I don't know of any like open coups where businesses have done it. I don't know. Anyway.
Last time there was a gigantic uprising that led to a bunch of police shootings in the street. This might be far worse than that. This might be like significantly worse than that.
Vaush, I hate to defend the police because they are not a perfect institution no matter where they are. They are enforcers of totalitarianism and all that shit, but the left has a real hard-on for describing justifiable police violence, often in self-defense, as police brutality. And it so rarely actually is. So I just can't believe you at this point on that. Maybe it's true even. Maybe they even were brutal in some case. But the amount that you and your side have exaggerated it, I won't believe it without seeing it. And even then, without seeing all the footage, not just the one clip that you thought was the most bad with George Floyd, and then hid the fucking camera footage that showed what's that weird white pill that's half chewed on the seat? Oh, look, he died of fentanyl symptoms. That's weird. Anyway, continuing.
Selling the country off. Argentina was a third world country. Argentina is complicated. I don't think it was a third world.
What a curious.
What an odd thing to say. Argentina was a third world country. No, it's just complicated. Basically, the complication comes from the fact that it was a third world country, but now Millet's in there, and I don't like him.
Exactly. It's like, I hate Millet. So now that Argentina is not a third world country.
I think Millet, I think
I
Argentina.
guarantee the only thing Vaush knew about Argentina before this was that it hosted like fucking total wipeout.
Is that the only thing you knew about?
Of course
All I
he
know
knew.
about Argentina.
No, of course he didn't know fucking anything about Argentina before this. He's just like, Argentina's always been a first world country.
But isn't Argentina the place where all the Nazis ran to or something?
Yes. There is a small town in Argentina which is just a little picture of Germany, basically.
In fact, Vaush himself has not done this, but a bunch of his fans have done this now, where they've said that everybody who supported Millet is an actual Nazi.
I'm sure
Have you seen this? Have you not seen this stuff?
There aren't that many Nazis that escaped to Argentina, Vaush. No, not in that. They haven't spread that much in that little time.
Modern Nazis are just
it's not been. Vaush is not that stupid. He is. To be fair, Vaush is that stupid to think something like that. But his fans have been now, and his kind of people have been disseminating the rumor on Twitter that the reason Millet won is because of the Nazis that came to. I'll post it. Hang on.
All right. I was going to say that Argentina has the potential, probably, to just about be a first world country, but without rampant excessive socialism, it's a second world country, and with rampant excessive socialism, it's a third world country, probably. And so I can well believe that by whatever metric we use, it was in fact third world. Millet's coming in, and he's making the. Like, I'm lauding him here, but I have no idea if he has good intentions or if his strategy is going to work. But it's worth a fucking try, because what else was going to work? He's coming in and it sounds like taking some hard decisions and implementing some policies that are desperately needed. It's the only thing that could possibly bring Argentina from being a third world country to anything else. No, it's not that complicated, Vaush, ultimately.
I can't find it, but
okay.
I guess I didn't retweet it, but yeah, there was a whole thing where like, yeah, they all tried to say that actually they were all Nazis. It was really fucking funny. But it was hilarious. But all right.
It's definitely going to be.
Bye-bye.
Jesus. Do you think when this blows up that it'll hurt the libertarian movement worldwide? Yeah, sorry, Argentina. You guys are about to be the.
You don't care about libertarians, you weirdo.
Anarcho-capitalism. Like, with Pinochet.
In this case, he means libertarian in the yellow flag sense.
He means communists. In
this case, he means it in the yellow flag sense, because they were asking, do you think this is going to hurt the libertarian movement worldwide? And he said, well done, Argentina, you're about to become the poster child for the like defamation of all libertarian and the destruction of all the anarcho-capitalism and whatnot.
Because he's a communist.
Vaush, I have argued with compunction and vigor against anarcho-capitalism because it's silly, but libertarianism and minarchism aren't. They are the foundation of any decent ideology. They are not the end point. You need, I think, a little bit more than just libertarianism, but they are the foundation. And if your country has been ravaged by the plague, the pox, the degeneration, the fucking cancer of socialism for any amount of time, a rapid realignment to libertarianism is a sensible response. It's maybe not ideal, but it's a sensible response. And so the policies that Millet is going to implement, what seems to be, are probably the only thing that can save Argentina. I know you would disagree with this, but just for everyone's benefit, these are good ideas he is implementing.
I wouldn't disagree, but no, I agree.
Ones I've seen anyway.
Well, I would agree 100%.
Venezuela went the other way. And Venezuela is even more of a shithole now than it used to be. It's been like 6 years since their currency was worth less than RuneScape gold. Yes, Motch, you hadn't heard that?
Anarcho-communism.
Yikes.
Anarcho-communism works.
I had not.
I remember it being like, it's worth less than WoW gold, and then a couple of years later, it's now worth less than RuneScape gold. And this was, as I said, like 6 years ago. It's just got worse since then.
That's crazy.
It is, yeah.
In other similar regimes, we have seen examples of how austerity politics and liberalism in an economic sense can hurt the population, but this is far worse than that. This is like, in terms
of just letting people have their own money, how is that? I don't think it harms the population. That's the one group it doesn't harm.
It harms Vaush.
The only thing you can say about having a nation where there is low tax and economic liberalism libertarianism, in other
The low
words,
tax is dead.
where people
yeah.
have low taxes, they can keep more of their money. The only problem you can say with a system like that is that it doesn't have the collective unity that you might need if you're in a desperate situation like a real war where you're really being invaded. So, and like, if you're trying to compete with a nearby nation where you need to do it in a way that's not purely economic, I could see some reasons why you might want to collectivize a bit, but in terms of the people benefiting the people, no, lower taxes is the correct approach. Now, I'm not saying that nothing should be nationalized, but the lowest taxes you can get while nationalizing the bare minimum things, which aren't really amicable to capitalist competition, which is not very many industries. That's, I think, the correct balance. And I don't know what have any examples for what he's talking about here. Almost certainly what he's talking about here is that there have been some examples where policies have been implemented which look like libertarianism, but are in fact just cronyism. Or where the system is so unhealthy in the first place that the people themselves, the actual people, don't get to see that money. Someone else does first.
Yeah.
And he's taken that as well. This is a problem with capitalism. No, it's a problem with corruption. Capitalism is not a discrete entity. It is the result of trade, which is a natural thing that units which care about value do. Trade is one of the most beneficial things humans do.
He's not capable of dissecting those two things or differentiating them. I don't think he is. At least personally, I don't know.
Quite often, socialists will criticize something as if it's part of capitalism, and they are literally criticizing reality. They are criticizing our use of reality, our interaction with the universe.
You believe that you have to put in a slight amount of effort to stay alive.
Crazy,
Yeah,
right? You have to eat and consume calories to be alive. Whoa, that's capitalism.
I don't understand why anyone takes anything Vaush says seriously.
Me neither.
To be honest,
that's the baffling thing about him. Why do we care? Who is he? Who's
because
this?
Because his audience is all 12-year-olds. That's why. His audience is 12-year-olds.
All I've ever known about Vaush is other people complaining about him. So, like, to me, the only reason he has any notoriety is because he upsets other people, and they talk about him.
His audience again they're 12-year-olds. Like they're literal children.
I've always said that
I've yet to talk to someone who actually believes anything he says. But then again, I don't really interact.
I've never met.
I've always said that the idea of don't feed the troll, right? It's a good idea in principle, but it's not complete on its own. Because if what you're doing makes you, it's like something you feel you must do, like arguing with a troll, and he's being insincere, then he's having fun messing with you and you're getting nothing out of it. Consider that is a good example where you should not feed the troll. However, consider the possibility that you're a streamer. Perhaps you run a community of people that like trolling and they like politics and risky topics. You find a troll and you can use them to make the funny. At that point,
I get
you let the troll
cows,
feed you, and you feed him a little bit of table scraps in return. It's a mutual transaction, but I don't care if he benefits. I literally don't care if he likes it. It's no concern of mine. I care if I'm benefiting from interacting with the troll, regardless whether he's being fed or not. What matters with the troll feeding is not that you're feeding the troll, it's that you're wasting your energy. But if you're getting more out of it than you're losing, then it's worth it. And that's what I interpret here with Vaush. It may be, Di, that a lot of his popularity comes from people responding to him. I'm not sure that's true, because I think a lot of it is from his existing audience and just his size and prominence and the fact that he's everywhere. But
it's more like that's what I've experienced.
Yeah, if I can get benefit out of talking about him, then I certainly will. So he can just be out punching. He's just a free retard.
He's a lol cow.
It's the same way people interact with most lol cows when they make content out of them. Like they're known to be like Amberlyn Reed and all of these other crazy people. You know, I get it. I just, with him specifically, it's just like I've seen so many people like only ever talk about like, oh well, he's a pedophile, he's this, he's that. Like it's always that kind of thing with him.
So we don't have long before Aiden needs to go. Let's try and get through as much of this as we can.
Okay, sorry.
That's fine.
Pinochet was more like austerity deregulation with militaristic elements, whereas this seems to be like full on just
so complaining about austerity, it's like complaining about walking left. It's something that you do if you have walked too much right. And you would walk right if you have walked too much left. Austerity is not an evil in and of itself. It's an adjustment to something that has gone too far in one direction. If, for example, and I don't mean left and right politically, just generally, if, for example, you have a government that has been drastically overspending taxed money, and then you decide, okay, we've been overspending, let's spend less, because it's not reasonable to be spending that much. That is just a sensible readjustment. But Vaush would consider that to be evil, probably because he wants the state to just spend everyone's money all the time. It just doesn't work, Vaush. It never has, it never will.
He wants just, he can't, Vaush can't comprehend any kind of instance in which the state would overspend.
Austerity to him isn't evil because it gets further away from socialism, even though it is actually just a reasonable readjustment of a gradiated policy.
Any amount of money the state doesn't spend on him is incomprehensible. Like, that it couldn't be good because he.
I mean, that is
wants
how a
all the
psychopath
money.
would see it. Yeah.